Hey Brett,
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How's your Sunday going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Hopefully you can hear me okay and this is all working out well. Uh just
Yeah.
a heads up ahead of time. My so these headphones, I may have to like unplug them and plug them back in, so there may be like I may stop in the middle of a sentence and go, "Damn it, let me try this." Because it's something with my system audio, because I'm on like a super old OS on this computer, because I'm as high tech as the music is, I'm pretty low tech. So
No worries at all. No, I was reading I find it fascinating that you got into music through computer tracking or trackers or something.
yes,
And I
yes.
have no
So
idea what that is. I'm not a computer person at all. So,
that's that's the funny thing, is as much as I like have, circuit board diagrams on my arms and stuff, I'm pretty stupid when it comes to like computer tech stuff like that. But when I was like 15, I discovered these programs called trackers that were like, this is back in like, this is going to date me. This is back in like the MS DOS days. And this is these programs were how they would make the music for video games back in the late 80s all the way through the late 90s.
oh, okay.
And like, you've probably seen like Ableton or like Pro Tools or
Oh
things like
yeah,
that.
Pro Tools.
Like typical DAWs and stuff like that. The way these things work. So with that stuff, it all goes horizontally. You can see your waveform. You record your guitar. You can see every part of it. With trackers, you don't see the waveform at all. Everything runs. It all looks like the Matrix. It all runs vertical, and you use your computer keyboard as a keyboard, and it's a very powerful sampler and sequencer put into one, but like with a very small program. And it's pretty much the nerdiest stuff ever. But that's how I started making music. And then when I dabbled around in like other, like I made a couple records in like other, like Pro Tools and Cubase and stuff after that, but returned to this because it was like, you know what, this is what made me fall in love with doing music and putting it together, just having all this weird control over the audio, because you can do such weird warped stuff to it. And there's a limitation to it too. Like I don't use soft synths anymore. Unless I'm like working on a film or TV project where it's like, we need this today and it's got to have strings in it. Like, well, I can't build up strings from one sound, so let me use something for that. Uh, so there's something about the limitation of using it as well that I don't know. It's like that's what turns my brain on.
Oh, so it's still around, that the computer tracker that you used a while ago, it's still around?
Oh yeah. So
Oh,
I was using ones. There was one called Scream Tracker that was 8-bit in mono, that was developed by these guys. I think I think the demo scene group Future Crew developed it. The demo scene was this man. This is such like a wild, awesome nerd tangent. So this is
I love
also
it.
why this is also why like the tracker stuff uh ties in with such a like, underground computer cyberpunky kind of vibe. uh there was this whole, it's still around, there's this whole movement called the demo scene, where it would be these different programming groups of these guys, all getting together, and it's people who are like graphic artists and animators and musicians, and they would have these contests for like, let's see if we can make like an executable file that like you download on your computer, you hit go, and then it's this big multimedia presentation of awesome graphics and amazing animation and music, and everything is running real time, but it's in like a 64 kilobit file. And so it's like, who can do the
Oh,
most impressive thing with the smallest file size? So that's like the tracker thing had like, you know because of the way that it works, and using small snippets of audio, You can keep the file size very small, and you can do absolutely wild, crazy stuff with it. Oh, it's how they used to do. Oh, yeah, I mentioned the video game thing, but those old programs, they're still kind of floating around. They were like freeware back then, but now there's a modern version called Renoise that now you can finally record vocals, you can finally record guitar and stuff like that. Because I used to have to record that in another program, then dump that into this. So now I can just do everything in one program, and it just sets my nerd heart aflutter.
That's great to hear. And speaking of, is that the piano that you did a lot of your writing for Obsidian?
So this is indeed the piano. This showed up more on copper.
Oh,
So
okay.
the way that and this piano exists because when I was growing up, the church that my mom sang at, this was the piano that like sat in the common area of this church. So like you can see parts of it are over here. Like part of that is missing on the on the side. It's where they like screwed in a pencil sharpener. Kids would come out and bang on it. So like that
Oh,
key doesn't
wow.
work. Can't play that key.
It's
It's
been around a
dead.
while.
It's been around a while. So they were it's all beat to hell and it's out of tune, and they were going to haul it off to the dump. And my mom was like, whoa, 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 whoa. If you're just going to take this thing to the dump anyway, our house is like, moderately better than the dump. You can bring that here. Because she just wanted to have any kind of music in the house, even if it was just sitting there. And I think she probably secretly hoped that I would, like little kid me would sneak out and try to work out little melodies and stuff, which is exactly what happened. And to sort of to pay homage to that, and to pay homage to the fact that she's the one who, the only reason I'm doing music today is because of her encouragement. So on the on the album Copper, there were a lot of times that I would just make I would make a, like a basic beat, or like a basic little piece of a song that could just loop and loop and loop, and I'd come out here and just like improv piano parts, sample it into the computer, and then there's some stuff on that record that sounds like it's synths, but it's actually the piano. It's like it's warped and tuned in all these different parts, but that record sits squarely in the middle of Quartz and Obsidian, which is the new one, because both of those records have quite a lot of guitar. So I'm like, let's make the road trip in between those records. Like, there's no guitar. It's there's only vocals on like two songs, and let's make this kind of a gentle bridge, an electronic gentle bridge between all the chaos of these two other albums.
Yeah, it's definitely a journey, and I think for rock fans on Obsidian, Prognosis and Catastrophe would be like right up their alley. And I was reading
Oh,
that so you kind of revisited some old guitar riffs. Um, was it on Prognosis?
yes, there were a few on Obsidian that I had some riffs and some basic stuff written already. That's the crazy thing with this entire trilogy, is that a lot of this was just written after March of last year. It was like done in this like crazy couple months stretch. But there were some songs that had already, had some demos in play. So stuff like Prognosis and Catastrophe and Gravity. I had like, okay, I know that this is a good riff, and I know that this is a good bridge for it, and I know that this is how the drums will go. I have no idea what the hell else will happen. So those have been sitting around since like, I believe I wrote the riffs for like most all of the guitar parts for Prognosis and Gravity in in like 2015, and they just sat on my hard drive going like, we're nothing. We don't know what we're gonna be. I'm like, all right,
We want to be something.
yeah, like I'll come back to you fellas later. I'll see you later. And then in 2018, I wrote just like I just had to get stuff out, so I just like did a crap load of guitar stuff, and that turned into Catastrophe, and One Last Breath, and those two just they sat there, uh, and I would just like let those some of those songs I would just let them loop over and over again, like Prognosis. I would let like whatever the verse was going to be, or just any part of the guitar, loop over and over again as I paced back and forth in the little studio room that I was renting, and just like trying out different vocal stuff. And like that's I how I write lyrics and how I write melodies is pretty much different every time. So it can be something like that, or it can be something like Catastrophe, where the majority of those lyrics were written while hiking alone through mountains and woods.
Hmm. Oh, yeah. It's kind of cool how like different environments can inspire you in so many different ways.
Oh, absolutely. There was a. I'm currently in the middle of rehearsing Catastrophe, so I can play it on a live stream. But every time I get to the line, the river's current. And now I forget the line, but I do mention the river's current because I'm all excited right now. But every time I get to that line, I just picture exactly where I was walking, and I was walking by a river, and I didn't know how to finish the song, and I just kind of like stopped and watched. I just watched nature at work, and just watched everything wash away, and watched it entirely, like this, like what I'm seeing now will never, like this moment will never be exactly the same right here. Like say this little leaf that goes by, or this twig that falls in, like that moment will never be. There will be similar moments to it, but this one little moment is something to appreciate. And I don't know, it's something small and simple like that can just make you stop and appreciate life.
Yeah, I've had moments like that too, where I'm like, well, this exact moment cannot be replicated in the same exact way.
Absolutely.
I know exactly what you mean.
That's fantastic. And those are so important to hold on to.
Oh, I love that. And so I saw that you're going to be on Twitch, on Spin's Twitch channel, on the 19th.
Yes, that will be at 4 p.m. Pacific time, Los Angeles time. And I'm going to be, it's not just going to be songs from Obsidian. There's going to be quite a few songs from Obsidian, but there's going to be tracks from all of the Dead Channel trilogy. And then I'll be doing a little Q&A. So there's already some fun questions rolling in. So it's going to be a blast. And this will be my first time doing, this will really be my first time doing a Twitch thing. I had done a live stream before on YouTube when Quartz came out, and just played 3 songs from that. I'll do those songs on this as well. But yeah, it's going to be fun.
No, it sounds like it. But you've been part of, a lot of video games. Have you already played the new Cyberpunk game?
Yes, when that came out, my wife and I got I hadn't played video games since the 90s. It's like despite having my music show up in them a lot, I just never had the time for it. I never made the time for it. Even though like a lot of like video game soundtracks from the 90s and stuff like that were things that I, like, oh, I love the atmosphere of this, or like I love the way that this thing looks, but just I didn't have the time or the resources to jump into it. But when I found out that I had 2 songs in Cyberpunk 2077, and then one of those songs is also in the trailer for in the trailer for the game, where it shows Johnny Silverhand, Keanu's character, I'm like, oh my god, it's not only this Johnny Silverhand character, but like this is Neo, this is Johnny Mnemonic. It's like everything that like, a cyberpunk geek like me would just be way into. So we're like, we're probably going to die immediately if we try to play this game. But let's see if we can find these songs in here. So we wound up getting a Stadia and downloading it, and it was very funny. I wish that we had a camera set up. My wife and I trying to navigate our way around Cyberpunk 2077 because there were there were just instances that showed up where it was like it's very evident how little we've played video games for the last couple decades, because like a firefight breaks out and she's like, oh my god, what do we do? I'm like, oh shit, we left our gun at home. I don't know. So
Well, but yeah,
it's wild to hear.
the games have like improved so much in terms of graphics and what the characters can do. It's almost like real life. It's crazy.
It is, and it almost kind of trips me out. Like because I'm so used to the stuff where it's like, it's all super pixelated and stuff like that. That was the stuff that I played on. I think the last stuff that I played on a PC back in the day was like back in like 1995 or 1997. So that's the stuff that I'm used to. So it's almost like jarring. It's like you're going from like a completely dark room into walking outside where it's like 3 p.m. and the sun is just at you.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember playing Home Alone. There was like a video game for the movie Home Alone.
Yes. Was
And
that
the
was that on the
graphics are
Nintendo?
yeah, it was on Nintendo.
Okay.
Yeah, and the graphics were like so poor. It was very pixelated, like you mentioned.
There's something about that I love though. And I think there's a lot of people that are like starting to make games in that style. Like they're still doing stuff
Oh, wow.
with that look, and I think it's part of that.
The
It's part of
nostalgia.
that. Yeah, it's part of that nostalgia, and it's also, it may be for them the same way that it is for me, where like I like the limitations of this music software that I use, where I'm like, oh, this forces me to use my imagination in a different way than I would, where it's like anything else I'd be able to see everything that I was doing. This thing I kind of have to use my ears instead. So it's probably the exact same thing for those people.
Yeah, I can see that. I wanted to ask you, is there like something you haven't done musically that you would say is on your bucket list?
Oh man, that's that's the fun thing, is that with with Blue Stahli, I kind of always just came out of the gate doing a bunch of different styles, because I wanted to set it out like from the get go. Like, this is not just a rock band. This is not just an electronic band. It's not just whatever else. Anything can happen with this. It's like getting in a car and just like spinning the radio dial, and everything that pops up is from the same guy. I love that stuff, because every time I would drive around listening to music, I would drive around listening to like the when they would do movie soundtracks where it would just be a bunch of bands.
Yeah,
So like I loved the band soundtracks for like Hackers and Virtuosity and stuff like that. I'm like, man, this is badass. Why can't this all be one band doing like house music and then rock and then whatever else? So that's kind of the fun thing, is that I don't really I don't really plan what's coming next. I don't even really have I don't know that I could even pinpoint a here's the thing that I would like to do that I haven't yet, because even just a year ago, I never thought that I would do some of the songs that wound up on, like, I never thought that I would do a song like Nothing Ever Stays, and I never thought that I would do an entire album like Copper, where it's all ambient and electronic. So I just kind of, the door is always open for anything.
yeah, endless possibilities.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's
Why
sometimes
not
it's good to
try?
be spontaneous.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, hey, let's make some fun stuff. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we tried.
Exactly. I have to say, I wanted to mention, I love the videos that you posted recently for the experiments and then the puff paint contest. Those were very entertaining.
And thank you very much. That's so part of the fun and the challenge. And again, this brings it back to like uh to limitations and stuff forcing you into finding new creative outlets, since it's quarantine. uh and it was and I knew that we were going to be doing and I say we, I'm talking about me and my wife, that we're going to be like releasing these 3 albums. We're like, we should do music videos for these. How the hell do we do that? And I had made little videos and stuff on my YouTube before, just little comedy things, or little like, hey, here's me working on a track or whatever. So we're like, well, let's just see if we can pull it off. So it literally started with making the music video for Crime Wave. She shot a bunch of stuff, I shot some stuff, and we just did it around our house and neighborhood, and then I edited the thing together. We're like, well, let's keep going. The only there is a video coming out. There's an upcoming video for Obsidian, the song, that is going to be very exciting, and I can't wait to announce who is putting that together. But the only video that we didn't do so far is for the song "Death Will Have to Run." There was an amazing dancer named Tuya Leatherwood, and it was directed by Deshandra Hoskins and shot by Tyler Hoskins. And they sent me all the footage. I sent them the song. She choreographed this incredible dance that just blew my mind. And I took all that footage and did all sorts of crazy editing and stuff to it. And it turned out well. So when it came time to do Obsidian, we're like, we've been doing like fun teasers and stuff for some of these records. We should have some stuff for we should have some teaser stuff for Obsidian, but we should make it fun, kind of make it a little game and drop some hints and stuff in there. And the name, the Butterfly Tourism Board, came about. It was an inside joke between my wife and I, and she had the idea. She's like, what if you did like old school, like, like educational film experiment stuff, and like the Butterfly Tourism Board is like this, this bizarre shadowy organization that makes these strange videos. So it was another fun thing where it's like, this is a level of thing that we haven't done before, but let's see if we can make something funny and just shoot it in the garage.
Oh, that's awesome. No, it came out like very professional, I have to say.
Oh, thank you very much.
It feels like something you would have seen like back in the maybe 80s, early 90s.
That's exactly what I kept on flashing back to
like Bill Nye or something.
Yeah. Well, I remember like when I was in 5th grade, and it would be like, okay, now it's time for science class, and they're like, we're just gonna watch a video, and it was like, why is every single educational video from 1978? Like, what? Didn't they make any more of these? Come on, man. So I'm like, well, we have to do this vibe for this.
I love it. Well, Bret, I really appreciate your time. Is there anything else that you want to mention?
Man, this flew by. This is crazy. I just wanted to say I really appreciate your time in this, and yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to me. I'm just a dude in a small room making weird music and throwing it out there. So I appreciate the hell out of you taking your time for this, and I appreciate the hell out of anyone taking their time to not only listen to the new record Obsidian, but I hope they enjoy the entire trilogy now that it's out. They've got Quartz, they've got Copper, they've got Obsidian, they've got an hour and a half of bizarre music to listen to.
Bizarre, but very good music.
I appreciate
stellar,
that. Thank you.
I have to say, it's very stellar music.
I got to bow to you for that. Thank you very much. Because I have no idea with this stuff. I just sort of do the things that I'm like, well, I think this is neat. I don't know if anyone else will like this, but let's put it out in the world, and hopefully the way it helped me is the way that it can help someone else.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for joining me on Don't Forget to Rock, and I hope we can chat soon. And when concerts open up again, hopefully we'll see you on the Northeast side.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, once once this is able to be done, and once I work out like an entire, like exactly what the full live show is going to be, then yeah, I definitely plan on. I've got a lot of lost time to make up for, and jumping around on stage and meeting people.
Very cool. I love it. Well, enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Absolutely, you as well.
Thank you. Take care.
Cool. Have a good one.